Awesome, thank you. Okay. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We're September 22nd, 2025. This is the governing board meeting of East Valley Institute of Technology. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all here. And we're going to start off with the pledge, and I've asked Laura Metcalf to lead us. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're going to get right to the good stuff. So presentations and recognitions, Dr. Wilson.
Madam President, members of the governing board, the last several board meetings we've been working through and will continue to work through some very significant and difficult challenges. But it's also nice at times to take a step back from some of those and just celebrate the good work that we do. And we have a lot to celebrate in this organization. And tonight we're going to celebrate some young individuals who have done some exceptional things. And to start us off, I'd like to actually start with Dana Kuhn. Miss Kuhn. You're a little bit jumpy there. Yeah, wow.
Good evening, Madam President and esteemed board members. It's truly an honor to be here tonight to celebrate our State of Arizona Adult Basic Education High School Equivalency Program Student of the Year, John David. He was recognized on September 6th at the Adult Basic Education Conference in Phoenix. He absolutely exemplifies the incredible work of our students and educators. Our HSE program is just starting its second year. We haven't even been around for 2 years. So it's just been an incredible journey. It's in alignment with our mission. And just in this short time, we have already seen how powerful this program changes lives by opening doors for students who are working hard to achieve their goals and build their futures. None of this would have been possible without your support and Dr. Wilson and Dr. Doolin's support in providing the resources to make this happen. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our program coordinator, Tiffany Lambert, who's done hard work in building and organizing and keeping everything in compliance, and our dean, Stacy Etherington, whose leader and support of the program and the teacher has made all the difference. John David is also in our fire science program here. So he goes to the HSE program for half a day and is in fire science half a day. And we're going to start off the discussion tonight with Mr. Snell, his fire science teacher.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having me here today. I am Nate Snell, recently medically retired firefighter and new fire science instructor here at EVIT. The fire service has long been built on a foundation, a set of core values that include dedication, integrity, courage, sacrifice, empathy, and selfless service. It's this foundation that really paves the way for the inherent public trust that is essential for our mission. So it's incredibly exciting for me as an instructor when I have young students that already embody what it means to be a first responder. John David has shown remarkable dedication in the classroom and on the training grounds. Each day he arrives prepared, focused, and wanting to attack the day's challenges. He is constantly setting a positive example for his peers, his classmates, leading by example, and is always concerned for those around him. So this young man is destined for a life of service, and I think that's pretty rad. So thank you, John David.
Thank you, Mr. Snell. Up next is Sharice Rollins. She is the absolute driving force in helping our students. She actually began with us just about 3/4 of the way through last year as a tutor and took on the job of a full-time ABE HSE instructor, which is a 12-month commitment. And she teaches all subjects and has a new start every 9 weeks, new student center. Very challenging, but very rewarding. We're so glad she's with us. Sharice?
Thanks, Dana, for the introduction.
It's such an honor to be here today. So again, my name is Sharice Rollins, and I'm the high school equivalency instructor. And I nominated John David for the award, so I want to read what I wrote for you all. John David exemplifies the heart of lifelong learning. As a high school equivalency student, he shows up daily, on time, prepared, and eager to grow. His commitment extends beyond class. He attends tutoring sessions and puts in extra hours to master material. Once shy and unsure of his voice, he has grown into a confident communicator and a thoughtful leader. He listens deeply, supports peers, and encourages others through quiet consistency. He recently enrolled in the EVIT Fire Science program and has served with the local fire department for several years. His passion for public service runs deep. He is committed to a life of servant leadership. He learns from his past and channels those lessons into helping others, especially peers, reach their goals. For John David, service is not just a career path, it's how he leads. He truly embodies what it means to be a lifelong learner and a community leader. So John David received the Arizona Association for Lifelong Learning HSC Student of the Year Award. So without further ado, all right, John David, please come up.
Let me my speech here real quick. I wasn't the smart one, I didn't have it on paper, so. Good evening, board. Thank you for having me. It is truly an honor to be here. Good evening, everyone. My name is John David Gauntlet. I'm a proud fire science and HSC student here at EVIT. I would like to say thank you to you all, to the board, to the staff, and my fellow students and my instructors for keeping this amazing and blessed program alive and well. In my time here, I have learned so much. I have learned how to pull out of my comfort zone and to do things that I never dreamed of. I have gone places where I never thought I'd gone before. I have learned so many lessons that I will never forget. And it's all because of the amazing program and all because of the hard work that the board here does, and I want to thank you all for that. I also want to thank you for the board for hiring and keeping such talented, intelligent, and smart instructors and staff here at EVIT, like Ms. Rollins, Mr. Snell, and Ms. Lambert-Lawrence, and so many others. Without their help, I wouldn't have gotten this far, and I sure would still be in a shy place if Ms. Rollins hadn't taught it out of me. So, yeah, she got me out of my comfort zone, and I do appreciate it. But I do want to leave with a message. I want to say keep up the good work. Please don't give up on this program. This is truly an amazing opportunity for others to grow. I've already seen my fellow classmates change into wonderful, hardworking, and amazing students. I couldn't be more prouder of them. So my advice to everyone is don't give up. EVIT backs you, and then you shall and will reach your future endeavors and dreams. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, John David. Couldn't have said that better myself, and I think that's probably one of the best things I've heard in all the years I've sat here, so thank you. And I also want to thank all the instructors that have poured their lives into it. I know this is not an easy task, and it's not an easy challenge, and the fact that you give to them the way you do is why John David is here. Madam President, members of the Governing Board, one of the things we talk about as a kind of an anchor is our ability to change lives. That is what we anchor ourselves to. And it happens in so many different ways, but this is an excellent example of how what you have allowed us to do has fundamentally changed the life of this young man and the trajectory for his future. And so as John said, thank you all for giving us the opportunity to do this good work. I don't know if you have any questions that you'd like for John David?
Well, I'd like to know, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
So very impressive. You're an inspiration, and You don't seem shy at all. I think you're over that.
Believe me, I used to be, very much.
As a shy person, I totally understand your pain. How did you get into fire science? You said you kind of served before, or you had been serving, someone said you'd been serving for a couple of years. So kind of tell us how you ended up in fire.
Yes, so when I was 14, I met a good friend of mine who was a Phoenix captain for the Phoenix Fire Department. You know, he kind of got me prepped up for, you know, what I'd be facing in firefighting, you know, what I'd be seeing on the street, the physical requirements, and so many other factors to firefighting, and a lot of things Mr. Snell would probably know a lot more than I would. And then I started out in several cadet programs here in Arizona. I'm currently with 5 other departments right now here in the state of Arizona. I just got accepted into a couple. I first heard about EVIT through my captain, and then I talked to my dad about it. And for the longest time, we couldn't come to EVIT because we were outside of Mesa, and then things were changed to where we could come in now. And you know, they opened up us. You know, thanks to Miss Tiffany Lawrence, that it was full at first, but someone dropped off and said, "Hey, we got a slot available. Would you like to take it?" I'm like, "Yes, please."
That's incredible.
Why not? So,
You know, I think opportunity is only as good as the people who take it.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, you can, so, and, I mean, kudos to the teachers, thank you, you're wonderful, but also taking the opportunity, nothing happens if you don't try. So
Absolutely,
kudos
yes,
to you as well, well done. Who else has questions or comments?
How did you come to the HSE program?
So I came to the HSC program. Originally, I was at a different school. I was at Real Salado. The program was a little different. It wasn't like, they were more focused on just testing, just get past 145 and go. They weren't really teaching material, or I'm not throwing them under the bus. I mean no disrespect at all, but they weren't teaching what I wanted to learn. And you know, I just say, you know, I'd probably be better learning more at home than I would at school. And so I was homeschooled for a few more months, and then brought up EVIT again. I'm like, hey, you know, EVIT's probably still an option. And then along with the fire science, I found out that they had a HSE program. And when I got a tour here, my first contact was Miss Tiffany Lawrence, and the way she described the program was very, I was very awestruck. You know, they wanted me to learn and know the material rather than just taking a test and getting out of here. I mean, don't get me wrong, we will get out of here eventually. I will leave, I promise, I will leave in a couple years, I promise. I'll try my best. But aside from that, you know, they were willing to give me the time to learn and take my time to learn what I never got to learn. You know, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. You know, I'm really glad I left where I was. I got out of my pretty crappy situation and came here, and you know, I've learned more than I ever thought I would, not just in the classroom but outside the classroom. You know, I've learned a lot of good lessons here, and you know, I couldn't be more grateful. And you know, another thing, I don't mean to take up too much time, but the other thing I like to say about the HSC program is how mission driven it is. Mm-hmm. You know, I really appreciate how when I mess up on something, they're like, okay, let's take a step back. You missed this, let's fix this, and let's see if you can understand the concept. So that's something that I had never gotten before. Like, they really took their time to explain and teach what is it I was missing. So I'm really, truly grateful for that opportunity.
Wonderful, thank you.
Who's with you here tonight?
Who was with me? My mom and my sister. Stand up, please.
I'd like to congratulate them. Without your help, yeah, absolutely.
John and David, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Madam President, members of the governing board, it's so wonderful to have a story like his, to understand the work that we do and the work that you allow us to do. What I'm so amazed, though, oftentimes about EVIT is the students that come here. Many times we get students that for whatever reason maybe didn't quite fit in at their home high school, or for their home high school wasn't the most successful place for them, and they come here and they flourish academically, but also the character and the quality of the individuals that we have on our campus is just truly exceptional. And next, I'd like Mr. Howe to begin recognizing some young men that truly did something exceptional. Mr. Howe.
Dr. Wilson, Madam President, members of the board, I'm here tonight to fill in for Mr. Gowdy, one of our welding instructors at Power, who's not able to be with us tonight. So right now I'm going to bring up some exceptional educators. They are part of the reason we have heroes with us tonight, because I'm not just introducing students of the month. I'm introducing true heroes, and I'll let you know a little bit why in a second. But first, I want to introduce Mr. Jesse Granados. He's one of our power and welding instructors, just started this year and is holding up the fort like you would not believe, along with our aides, Nina Jamero and Allison Martin. Without their help, it would be utter chaos at Power right now, without Mr. Gowdy. Trust me, they are more than aides right now. They are true educators. And of course, you know Mr. Deemer, he's the head of our welding department. He makes everything happen. Without him, I'd quit. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. So again, as I said, tonight we're here to celebrate heroes, not just students of the month. These three gentlemen I'm going to introduce, they have the common characteristics of a student of the month, definitely. They're hardworking individuals, they're professional, they're talented welders, and they have no discipline issues. They're great students. If Mr. Gowdy were here, he would spend an hour telling you all the great things they do. But what really makes these students stand out is their heroic deeds on Monday, September 15th. On this day, an engineering student lost control of his vehicle after leaving the EVIT Power campus. The resulting wreck left the student trapped in an overturned car that immediately caught on fire. These three students pulled over, and seeing that the student wasn't able to get out on his own, pulled the student free, not giving one thought to their own safety. Pretty much instinct, and you can't teach that. You can't teach being a hero. The pictures taken of the car after the fire was extinguished show the blackened, charred wreckage that was left. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that they saved this young man's life. Without them, he would not be with us today. So I would like to bring up Robert Collins, Z. Green, and Xavier Guzman, please. Now, gentlemen, you don't have to give a speech, but if you would just say who you are and what school you go to, introduce your parents and family, and if you have any statements about your journey here at EVIT so far, feel free, and then the board will ask you some questions. After we're done, all of us are going to go out in the lobby and they're going to take some photos, okay?
Hi board, my name is Zeke Green. I go to Perry and we are at EVIT Power Campus. I have my stepdad and my mother with me. Thank you very much.
Good evening, board. My name is Robert Collins. I go to Perry High School, and I have my two grandmas, sister, mom, and my stepdad with me here today. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Xavier Guzman. I go to Mountain, and I have a whole book with me. I actually have to take a look on, this is the two back rows. If you guys could just stand up. Just stand up. Yeah.
Can I ask you, young men, gosh, you're driving down, you see it, can you just explain briefly, I'm not asking for any gory details, but can you just, what happened? Give us kind of the blow by blow, because this is so outstanding. God bless you.
Me and Robert were in a vehicle together. He was following us and we pulled out on a power going down towards Williamsfield, and we didn't see the crash happen, but we saw the car upside down. And Robert was like, I think I see somebody in there. So we pulled over and went over. And he was like, I'm stuck. So I went around to the other side of the car and it had started catching on fire. And I ran over and me and Bobby grabbed him by his hands, or Robert, not Bobby. Robert grabbed him by his arms and pulled over. And then he came and helped us bring him over to the curb. And by the time we looked back, the car was engulfed in flames.
Wow. That's incredible. Thank you from the bottom of my heart as a parent for being willing to help someone you didn't know. Thank you just as a citizen, as a human on this planet. Bless you, young men. You look the age of my son, so I still call him boy. He doesn't like it, but you boys, you young men are incredible. You're exemplar, you're heroes. I think this will stay with you your whole life. You'll remember this day. You're going to tell your kids and your grandkids, and that young man that you saved, that family, I mean, they're going to bless you their entire lives. You've done something amazing that many people don't get the opportunity to do. But like I said earlier, when the opportunity arose, you rose to that challenge. You met that opportunity, and you did something amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't even know you boys, and I'm super emotional. This is just, it's incredible. It's just, thank you. I'm repeating myself.
Thank you very much.
I'll let someone else who's a little more coherent ask you some more intelligent questions.
Did you know the student who was in the car?
No, ma'am. We
No.
just saw the car and went for it.
Okay, wonderful. Instinct, thank you. Thank you for saving a life.
I'd like to say congratulations and thank you, gentlemen, for being outstanding young men. But I also want to thank your family and your friends that are here. Young men like this aren't this way unless your family pours themselves into you in a way that allows you to make that decision. So Mom, Dad, Grandma, the second back row, thank you. Thank you very much for raising young men that would behave in a way that we can all be proud of. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
So, thank you, teachers, thank you, everyone who's been involved with being good examples to our students here. And thank you, everyone, for coming. We don't always have a lot of community involvement here in our board meetings, and tonight was really positive. We thank you for sharing your students with us. The board, we are kind of very separated from the day-to-day operations. We don't get to see a lot of it. And so this is truly the highlight. I feel like I speak for the whole board when I say nights like this are truly the highlight of our involvement here with EVIT. So we are going to move on with the rest of the program that is not interesting or fun, I don't think, for most of you. And so I would encourage you to go take your pictures, go celebrate, get those kids as much ice cream as they ever want to eat in their whole entire life. And have a great night, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Very cool.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you. Look at that, I love it. Okay.
Everyone clears out and there's just the attorney.
And then there was one.
Okay. Gosh. Amazing. Almost feel like they have the instincts for the EMT program, like do welding and then do EMT. Let's see how that goes. You're already there. Okay, so, wow. Okay, where are we? I need to get my head on straight. Okay, we're at minutes. Item 4. Do I have a motion? Item 4, minutes.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the regular meeting on September 8th, you know what? I have to abstain. I was not here at that meeting. My apologies.
Okay. Is there a second?
There has to be a first.
I will move the approval of the regular meeting minutes on September 8th, 2025.
A second.
I also have to abstain, because I wasn't present.
Okay, are there any other comments other than abstentions? Okay, please call the vote, acclamation.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We have 2 abstentions. Motion carries.
Thank you. Call to the public, I think we do not.
No, ma'am.
Based on who's here. Item 6, consent agenda items, which is items, let's see, is it A through H? If I can
I'll
get a
move that we
motion.
approve the consent agenda item A through H.
Is there a second?
Madam President, I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Dr. Wilson, can I just clarify that when we are approving all these travel for staff, the number is is up to X amount. It's usually not that many, and we do it so far in advance to get early bird specials and to be good stewards of our dollars, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We've done this now the past couple of years in which we have an up-to number, and I don't know that, with the exception of maybe one conference, did we ever send the up-to number. But we want to be able to get the early bird special and get the cheaper rates, and so we come to you early on, and then we backfill who goes, and typically it's never the number that we put in the agenda.
Thank you. That's what I assumed. I just wanted to be accurate. Okay, please call the vote.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7, personnel. We have A and B, 7A and B. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion towards items 7A and B.
I will second that. Any discussion? Okay, please call the vote.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8, information and discussion. Dr. Wilson.
Madam President, members of the governing board, we've mentioned this a couple of times over the past or so, in which our facility, our culinary building, there have been times in which individuals would want to rent that space out, and what was the limiting factor is the ability for us not to serve alcohol. And so we kind of started walking down that road a bit, probably a year ago, and then we kind of stepped back away from it. In order to serve alcohol, we'd have to do a policy revision, a policy change, and we'd have to put some systems in place that would allow us to do it in a way that we felt comfortable and confident, being a school, that it would not be something that was inappropriate. We are being asked to host an event that I think that recognizes the 75th anniversary of the Mesa SWAT team. And so the Mesa SWAT team would like to hold their event here at night and have SWAT individuals from current members for the past 75 years attend and celebrate the Mesa SWAT, but they would obviously like to serve alcohol. I met with the gentleman and had a conversation. It was clear that if this is something that we do, it needs a policy revision that we certainly can do, but also there has to be some parameters around it that the policy might not necessarily take into consideration. As an example, they would have to bring in their own outside vendor, right? We wouldn't be providing, purchasing, or serving any alcohol. And 2, we would have to make sure that our students didn't pick up or throw away any of the alcohol bottles or cans or beverages, that would have to be done by that third party provider. And the gentleman said absolutely. He said that makes total sense. He said he himself would be willing to make sure that was the reality when they come here. I get hesitant, I'll be honest with you, because at the end of the day, this is still a school system. But I also know too that if we can figure out a process that makes sense, that makes sense. And this entity, meaning Mesa SWAT, is probably the best one to try to figure it out with, right? And then model it after that. So unless there's any objection, I'd like our legal counsel, our next governing board meeting, to come back with the first draft policy revision that would allow the opportunity for us to have a deeper discussion, and then potentially a second revision or a second read, so that the Mesa SWAT conceivably could have their 75-year celebration here on our campus. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I just have a question, if I
Sure.
could. So with that, with a third-party vendor, would they be the ones that would bring in all the alcohol? They would track all the alcohol, they would haul it out, and we would have nothing that would catch us up as far as anything inappropriate or concerning, especially with the reputation that we have.
Yeah, so yes, that's a fair question. That's part of the conversation that Counselor and I can speak on, and 2, but in the conversation with the gentleman, that is exactly what it was, is that the third party would be responsible for purchasing the alcohol, bringing the alcohol in, clearing the alcohol off the tables, getting rid of so that our students did not have any interaction with that in any way different than what they would normally do on our events, which would be just the serving of the food and the cleaning of the cooking of the food and the taking of the plates.
So then would there be an extra fee for that?
We haven't gotten that far yet. I know that there's some policies that we can model off of.
Okay.
But again, before counselors spent a bunch of time kind of trying to craft that policy, I wanted to revisit with you again, just to make sure that you were comfortable with it, and then we can get to the more specifics as we get deeper.
I have something. I struggle with that, just because the principal, we're an education, we do secondary. Most of our student body is under 18. I just struggle with the message that it sends, that we're against that except. And I just can't do it, and I can't really think how we could 100% be clear of it liability if something were to happen. I just can't get behind that at all.
No, I respect that, and believe me, Mr. Lane, it's something I've wrestled with, right? Because, we've talked about it, and then I kind of stepped away from it for very much the same reasons that you described. But I also know too, and I'm not minimizing what you're saying, that it's very difficult to have 100% assuredness on anything, right? I mean, we have systems in place right now for lots of things on our campus, and on a daily basis, I'm surprised at how much actually does occur that shouldn't occur, even though we have all these systems in place. And that's not minimizing it at all. I think that the goal should be, and Counselor may come back and say that it's not feasible to do, but what we would need is a policy that does limit our liability the best it possibly can. And then in the conversation with the culinary program, and this is a conversation that I've had with Mr. Howe, that it's going to be incumbent upon them too to monitor in ways that would be different than if we were hosting dinner for one of our local associations. They would have to have some additional responsibility. And when the policy comes back, it may be something that you're not interested in. I just think it's an opportunity potentially to have a resource that is a needed resource within the community, as long as we can do it in a way that it allows us to not tarnish the reputation that we have, and I agree with that.
Yeah, I just want to, especially if students are going to be in any capacity, catering, preparing food, serving food at the same time, I would really struggle with that.
That's fair.
I have a couple of thoughts. One is that when you bring the draft policy, can we also have perhaps a list of other school districts who have similar draft policies? I think that can maybe provide some assurance. And then secondarily, what any implications for our insurance would be? Because I would imagine that there's going to be some sort of cost to that. Maybe there isn't, but
Sure.
Any of those fiscal impacts too would be really
Sure.
helpful.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you've shared. My biggest concern was alcohol on a campus, the age of the students that are going to be in the room, and potential liability. But I'm also interested in this in a form of revenue stream for the district, and potentially if you could provide maybe some info on what this opens up in terms of that, or how often people even ask to use this as an
Sure.
event space, or it's rented out, or things of that nature, just to give us a little kind of background on,
Sure.
on that part of it.
Right, absolutely.
Thank you.
So perhaps to add to that, pardon me, may I make
Of course.
just maybe some quotes on what it would cost additionally for the insurance?
Sure.
And then what type of cost it would be on our part, again, if it's a precedent in other areas, what we could use that as a revenue stream, and then how we would use that money once it's coming in.
Sure. Fair questions.
So, okay.
Madam
One more?
President?
Yes.
I want us to also remember, we're training kids in culinary arts who are going to be working in establishments where liquor is being served. And I recently was out with a friend who ordered a drink from a young woman who was clearly underage, and she took the order away, and an adult came and delivered the drink. And which is, I think the way they do it in restaurants, the way they get around this thing about kids working, waiting and stuff, so that the kid never touched, the kid who took the order but never touched the alcohol. So I think it may be something that we ought to think about also in terms of the kind of culinary arts program that we're offering, that the kids are going to be around alcohol. And as long as it's carefully managed, I don't have so much of a problem with it. I say that having grown up in a family of teetotalers, by the way, so just so you know.
It is a sense of reality, and it does give them that real-world experience while they're working and learning here. Be a protected opportunity.
Yeah, and we should be careful. So I join Mr. Lane's concern that we need to be careful about this.
Absolutely. One more thing real quick. I think we'd want to maybe survey the parents of the students involved and see what their pulse was.
So I'm just gonna add a little bit. So I actually worked catering all through my high school years.
Okay.
I worked for a catering company, and there was quite a few of us, and we worked largely out at Leisure World. And we had a very similar setup. We were all underage. All the servers were underage, but we had a similar setup with the third party that comes in. I worked there, and then I also worked in a restaurant. And I can tell you at the catering with the third party, there was way more oversight and checks and balances than I worked at the restaurant. Because they were 100% responsible for the alcohol and only the alcohol. So no one was mixed, if that makes sense. And I will say it is a reality of the position in catering and in culinary events that you will be around alcohol, and you have to understand your role and what you can and cannot do. But I share the concern with everybody here, and I think not only a policy, but a process would be nice to have.
I think we brought up some really good points, and I look forward to the information being presented.
Absolutely. We'll come back in 2 weeks
It's
with it.
multifaceted. Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate that. And then I believe action item, 9, here we are. So number 9, action item A, policy revision on emergency basis. So Dr. Wilson, I'm sure Mr. Hobel.
Madam President, members of the governing board, Counselor, you want to take this here?
As far as I know, we're just adding a telephone number to the policy as required by the COE.
Yeah, so Madam President, members of the governing board, our policy has a policy, correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, our policy has a policy that allows us to change our policy without doing 2 reads if it's an emergency, right, that we don't have to go. Well, as we have talked before, that we went through our accreditation with a COE, and one of the findings they had was that we don't have certain information like a phone number on the website for students to have access to. And they want us to update that in a time frame that wouldn't allow us to do a first read and a second read. So what we're asking is to update our policy that allows us to include this information on our handbook that currently you hadn't approved. It doesn't materially change anything other than it actually gives direction to where kids can get this information either through the website or through a phone number.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Okay,
So that would be an action item then.
Correct.
Okay. I'll move that we
me.
approve that policy revision on an emergency basis.
I second.
thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, please call for the vote.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. So action item 9B, industry certifications for school year 25-26. This looks like Dr. Doolin will be speaking to us on this.
Hi, good evening, Madam President and members of the board. You will see in your packet, but I wanted to alert you to 2 things that we needed to update in your packet, and that's on the manufacturing program, the high-tech manufacturing on the secondary list. It has OSHA 10 listed as no for ADE approval, but that is a yes. ADE has approved that. And then on the post-secondary list for OSHA 10, for structural metal fabricator program, that should say no. It's approved on the EVIT quality list. Those 2 were flipped backwards, so we apologize for that.
What was the second program? What did
The second program was a structural metal fabricator program in the post-secondary list.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's a lot easier. Okay, so any questions?
Yeah, if I can hop in. I know that we've had discussions on this board about how important it is that our programs lead to credentials of labor market value that just aren't minimal credentials that might be offered aligned with a specific program, but that are actually of value in the labor market. So can you please speak to how this list represents those and how it may be different from any other lists that might be used by a district?
Sure.
Please?
So
Thank you.
there's 2 lists. There's the lists of what ADE approves and then the EVIT quality indicator list. So we go through the list every year and we look at, OSHA 10 is a great example. OSHA 10, it is an AD approved certification, but it does not meet the EVIT quality indicator, meaning that is not a certification that really sets you apart or the employers are really wanting from all of our advisory committees. They say, yeah, we can get that for you, and we just assign it to you and you do it at home online, like bloodborne pathogens. So on this list, we wanted to make sure you could see the difference between the ones that are ADE approved certifications, but they really don't meet the quality that EVIT's trying to give our students, and give those within the CTED to make sure that they're not just receiving a fluff certification that meets the minimum standards, because there's a difference between compliance and quality.
Right.
So the ADE is a compliance list, the EVIT list is more of a quality list. So that's the difference between the two lists.
Cool, thank you. And you mentioned that the, how a program would land on the EVIT quality list is also a function of how our advisory groups
Yes.
recommend it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
We asked them in the advisory and really going to the business and industry, and they're the ones who are giving us the guidance of, I mean, we've been told more than once, we don't care about OSHA 10.
Sure.
In certain programs.
Sure,
And then
of
we have
course.
another program, they're like, yeah, we really want OSHA 10 and OSHA 30. So that one is a little bit different, but for the most part, those easy ones, that's not really what they're interested in.
Great, thank you.
I think the business driving these advisory committees is really what's going to help us, provide the best education for these students. But also, it's really great to see this to make sure, I really like the difference between compliance of ADE and quality of EVIT. And that goes to, our rubric and the whole idea that we as EVIT want to offer quality education. Which of course goes back to the Auditor General, and our whole goal is quality, right? So I appreciate this list. I like that we have clear goals, and it's business-driven, industry-driven, so thank you.
So are we locked in on this list, or is it dynamic at all? Because I see an omission on one of them,
Which one?
on the auto for maintenance and light repair. That's what the state standards are driven by.
I believe that we've gone for the higher quality. We do the ASC in all 8. I don't have Mr. Middleton here, but we teach every single ASC. The way we have the new program structured here at EVIT is that by the end of the first year, they will have completed 6 of the 8 ASCs, and then they come back the second year and do the last 2 and go out to internship. So they actually do every single area.
Does that apply to satellites also?
It applies to satellites that were for the quality. It doesn't, remember, you can be a satellite, any program, because we have even programs here that are in the compliance piece, they're not in the quality piece. They're trying to figure it out and embed that. We are not requiring that every program make it to quality. It is our goal that we start looking and listening to our business and industry to go in those quality areas. As we're working with the satellites, what we're looking for is we're hoping that they're at least giving one, if not more than one, of the recognized ASC credentials.
Anything else? Okay, so I need a motion for this.
Madam President, I make a motion that we accept item 9B.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, please call the vote.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
I'm abstaining.
All right, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Thank you. So item 9C, student school calendar for school year 26-27. Dr. Wilson.
Madam President, I'd like Ms. Perez, if she could speak to the calendar, please.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. What you have in front of you is a calendar that we compiled by looking at all of our partner districts, and we try to align as best as we could, although it is quite impossible to, match day by day. But this calendar, in comparison to the current year, it does have an additional instructional day, and that goes back to the number of instructional hours, as I've mentioned whenever we've had budget presentations, is that we're limited in the instructional hours. And given that our sending school districts do have different start times, we wanted to make sure that we maximize the number of days possible for our students to be in attendance.
This looks pretty much identical to what we're doing now.
Correct.
Give or take here or there, which I still voice my opinion every time that I hate starting in July. Let it be written, let it be said, let it be remembered. It is not right to have school in July in Arizona, but okay. Okay, anyone else want to complain other than myself? Okay, anyone else want to say anything positive? Okay, call the vote, please.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, so it's just me. Okay, it's a personal thing here on out. Item 10, call for executive session. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion that we, item 10A, we adjourn for executive session.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, please call for the vote.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
You guys want to take 5 minutes and use the restroom, and then we'll go to the fishbowl? Okay.
Are we going to the
We're going to go to the fishbowl. Yep. Awesome, thank you. Okay, we are back on in our meeting, and we do not have a motion. So, okay, action item, nope, yes. Am I on the wrong one? Sorry,
12.
my computer just died,
12,
so now
12.
I'm like going,
Number
okay, am I in the
12.
right place? I'm in the right place? Staff reports, thank you. Okay, staff reports, Dr. Wilson.
Madam President, members of the governing board, my report was rooted in what you saw at the beginning of our meeting. You know, I do have to apologize because it seems like for the past 6 months, 90% of our time is spent on things that don't give us the opportunity to celebrate. And so I'm very grateful that we had the young men that were here tonight that could show you the exceptionalism of the people that we have the pleasure of working with and for. Outside of that, just as a reminder, we go on fall break next week. It's a 2-week break. Obviously, those of us that are on certain calendars will be here, but classes won't be in session for the next 2
When do you
weeks.
go on break?
Monday,
Week from today.
week from today, for 2 weeks. And then that's it. So unless you have questions for me, that's all I got, man.
Thank you. Okay, closing items, our next meeting is October 13th, and now we have 13B adjournment.
And I don't have to miss
So
a
moved.
meeting when I'm
So
in
moved,
Florida.
and I will second that. Please call the vote.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. You had a bit of an echo there, Mr. Boyle. You're like, oh, aye, aye.